"I wanted to let you know I'm not going to run," Crowley told her. "Good decision," Pelosi answered. The exchange with Pelosi and Crowley's downfall to the woman now known as Aoc is relayed in The Hill to Die On, The Battle for Congress and the Future of Trump's America, by Jake Sherman and Anna Palmer, editors with Daniel Lipman of Politico Playbook, the twice-daily distillation of who, and what, matters in Washington. Like the newsletter that has made them famous at least among those who consider Twitter a form of physical exercise, The Hill to Die On is imbued with the conviction that C-SPAN doesn't show the truly important parts of Congress. Or the fun ones. In their telling of Crowley's defeat, Sherman and Palmer either had direct access to Crowley or someone extremely close to the former congressman, likely the former, given the detailed recounting of at least one spousal conversation. As such, they provide a useful and engaging account of one of the biggest upsets of the 2018 midterms. It is history told from the defeated's perspective. Crowley did not answer NewsPulse News requests for comment. 2 months later, there was a seemingly inconsequential item in the Queen's Chronicle, Ocasio-Cortez on the ballot in New York. 14, the headline read, noting that she had gained the requisite signatures to challenge Crowley in the primary. Actually, she managed about 4 times what the city's Board of Elections required. Still, the Queen's Chronicle was not impressed. Crowley expects easy primary win, a second headline said, with the article itself arguing that massive hurdles would likely prevent Ocasio-Cortez from the stunning upset she had in mind. Sherman and Palmer report that even as the Acela-bound press corps largely ignored Ocasio-Cortez, Crowley's own polling showed what they euphemistically call troubling results. One poll, in early 2018, showed that his name ID was low despite being in office for nearly 20 years. A second poll showed Crowley with an illusory 36-point lead, illusory because it surveyed only super-prime voters, older outerborough whites loyal to the Democratic machine. Those were not the voters Ocasio-Cortez was after. In the 14th District's disillusioned young, its black and brown working classes, she saw a voting bloc that had been all but invisible to Crowley. Yes, well, and Hillary Clinton was supposed to win Wisconsin. In her only debate with Crowley, Ocasio-Cortez treated Crowley more or less the way Trump had treated his Republican challengers 3 years before. If a person loves their community, they would choose to raise their family here, she said of Crowley's choice to live on the Potomac River, not the East River. They would choose to send their kids to our schools, they would choose to drink our water and breathe our air. Crowley continued to hold out hope that the Ocasio-Cortez shoestring campaign was going to show its weakness on Election Day, as Sherman and Palmer put it, and his institutional support would drown her. But as New York's 14th went to the polls, Ocasio-Cortez supporters showed up en masse. She beat Crowley by 15 points. At some point during the night, Crowley also took a call from Pelosi, whom Sherman and Palmer describe as distraught. They do not say what she was distraught about. Pelosi's representatives would not confirm that the call took place. But since resuming the House Speaker's gavel, Pelosi has struggled to contain the emboldened progressive wing of the Democratic Party, an insurgency of which Ocasio-Cortez is the undisputed leader. As for Crowley, Sherman and Palmer describe him ushered out of the House with roughly the same emotion as that which followed Stalin on his final journey across the Soviet Union. One has to wonder how much of that was the fear of older Democrats now worried that they too would have to fend off a progressive primary challenger like Ocasio-Cortez. Not that Crowley went all that far. A little more than a month after Ocasio-Cortez took his former seat in the House, Crowley joined Squire Patton Boggs, an immensely influential Washington lobbying firm that paid its top influence peddlers well over $250,000. And he continued the good old boy fundraising back home or home in Queens. In February, the New York Post reported that Crowley was charging up TP $250 a head for a St. Patrick's Day party at the Globe Tavern in the borough's traditionally Irish neighborhood of Sunnyside. The goal was to raise money for a new state-level political action group, Joe for New York. The unflattering Post report, with its swampy stench, scuttled those plans, and Crowley announced that partygoers could pay what they wished. He said there had been some confusion. And maybe there was, on Crowley's behalf. He must have thought he was still in Washington.